The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Luis Moreno Ocampo, on a fact-finding tour of a Kenyan slum. From the indictments of warlords in Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo to an arrest warrant for a sitting head of state in Sudan, Africa has kept the court and its chief prosecutor busy since it opened its doors in 2002. But has the ICC been picking on the continent?
It's actually emerged very much as a European court for Africa, and some would say, in fact, the European Guantanamo Bay for Africa, because despite having had, I think, in the region of 8,000 complaints to look at in the last 8 years, it's only actually chosen to look at 12 cases in Africa. So it's ignored Afghanistan, it's ignored Iraq, it's ignored a whole range of other situations, only to focus on Africa. So it's I think it's a legitimate question to ask.
The world's first permanent war crimes court also stands accused of aggravating African conflicts. In Uganda, the leader of the Lord's Resistance Army, Joseph Kony, is refusing to sign a peace deal with the government until the ICC drops its indictments against him and 3 other LRA commanders.
The ICC has been an obstacle because it has insisted on apprehending the leaders of the Lord's Resistance Army, but not the leaders of the other party in the conflict, that is the government of Uganda and its armed forces.
The situation in Darfur, Sudan, is perhaps the highest profile the court has handled so far. Arrest warrants were issued in April 2007 against Ahmed Harun, a former state interior minister, and Mohammed Abdul Rahman, leader of the pro-Khartoum Janjaweed militias. In 2009, the court took its boldest step yet. It issued an arrest warrant for Sudanese President Omar Hassan al-Bashir, making him the only sitting head of state wanted for war crimes. Kenya is the latest addition to the list of African countries that the ICC is involved in. It's the weakness of its legal systems and the lack of public trust in the judiciary that initially led to the referral of the post-election unrest to the court in The Hague. And now government officials say there's no going back.
The time to recognize that you cannot postpone justice is now, and particularly for Kenya, because the issues that gave rise to the ICC coming into Kenya are election-oriented. Election-related violence has a tendency of recurring.
Opposition to the court by some African governments, as well as demands for amnesty by suspects, indicate just how quickly the ICC has established itself as a force for rule of law. But the court's capacity to produce deterrence in conflict-riddled Africa is clearly dependent on its success in trying and convicting suspects, something it's yet to achieve. Mohammed Adow, Al Jazeera, Nairobi, Kenya.